everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel. Today, to celebrate hitting 500 subscribers, we've got a bit of a special video where I am going to build a massive eldritch abomination in Planet Zoo. If that sounds fun to you, do give the video a like and of course subscribe if you're interested in this sort of content. For the most part, I do more conventional builds in Planet Zoo where I actually build zoos. But in today's video, to celebrate the milestone that the channel's hit, you know what? Why not go off the rails a little bit? So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going off the deep end when we're going to start building something a little bit crazier than usual. And as you can see on screen, that right there, that item, that water wheel, was the inspiration for this whole build. Well, not the whole thing, but a decent amount of it. Essentially, about a week ago, I was just kind of looking through items in the game and putting things together for maybe another build in the future. And I noticed that this is one of the few pieces in the game that is animated. Right now the game is on pause, but if I unpaused it, those water wheels move like actual wheels. So they turn, irrelevant of gravity, etc., etc. They just turn on the spot. So basically, I thought to myself, hey, what if I layered these pieces and made a donut shape just like that? And I realized, holy cow, that is such a cool effect. It's like a weird fractal looking thing. And I also thought to myself, that kind of looks like a mouth. The mouth of some giant, worm-like creature. And I thought to myself, okay, this is interesting. What could I do with this? And of course, I decided to go with the weirdest option possible because, naturally that's what I'd go for. So, this past week, I've been binging a lot of Netflix, and I've watched the entire, I think it was 1995, the 1995 series Evangelion. It's an anime series. Don't know if any of you have heard of it. You probably have. It's a pretty big classic. So, I personally have never seen it, so I've only recently got into it. I watched the whole thing. If you're not aware, it's about giant robots, but not really. It's kind of really existential and trippy, and honestly that whole series was a massive trip. It's just weird and crazy, and there's giant creatures, and honestly if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. I do have to say it is remarkably trippy, and it's just weird as hell. That's all I can really say about it, and I quite loved it, to be honest. I love weird things like that. Very, very existential. It does make you kind of question the universe and everything. But yeah, I was kind of in a giant monster mood, and I thought to myself, sure, let's make one in Planet Zoo. So, this game isn't exactly made for this, but it does have a lot of pieces which could be useful. So I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I want to flex those creature design muscles of mine. If you don't know, I'm a big fan of creature design in terms of artwork. I love designing creatures. I love paleo art, anything that involves drawing or illustrating living creatures. And that doesn't just include actual existing creatures. Of course, I do enjoy creating my own. I love things like speculative evolution, where you come up with ideas for what future lineages of creatures would look like, that sort of thing. It's all very, very fun, and it's just quite a nice opportunity to kind of be a little bit more inventive with biology and stuff like that. So I really enjoy that sort of stuff. I also really enjoy sci-fi, fantasy, that sort of stuff. So, kind of all ties together for this particular build today. And as you might have seen from the thumbnail, this is, like I said, inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. So, if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, it is a game kind of where you are this character, wander, and you kind of got to traverse this giant open space, like a massive valley with lots of different environments. And you've got to take down these 16 giant colossi, which are these giant creatures which aren't purely biological. They're like huge and covered in fur and architecture, and it almost looks like this is not just an animal, it's like an animal fused with plant, fused with human architecture. It's a really cool concept. If you haven't played the game, do Google it, look at what these creatures look like. They are honestly really incredible, and I decided to kind of base my creature today on those colossi. I'm not going to replicate any specific colossi, but any specific colossus I might add. So, but I decided to kind of go with that vein of creature design, kind of go for something that looks like it has been here a lot longer than we have. This is a creature that has been on this planet, for a long time, and because it has been, people have built entire civilizations over it, and when this thing awakens once again, it takes pieces of that architecture with it. It's like fused into its body. It's got plant growth over it, it's got soil, it's got rock. It's just, a creature that's truly part of the earth. And I just love that concept, so I think it translates pretty well into this build today. And as we go along, I'm going to talk you guys through it, through my build process. And right now you're going to see me essentially just build up the eye of the creature because, it needs eyes, I guess. This is one of those things where I took more of a cue from Shadow of the Colossus. I wanted to go for eyes that were more reminiscent of that style in that game. So it's a very non-expressive eye. It's just a circle with another circle in it. It doesn't blink, it doesn't move. All it is it stares. It just is like this But yeah, I think it's quite an interesting looking eye because it's not expressive in that way. Like, you can't tell what it's thinking or what it's emoting. It's just this big, glaring orb that's just kind of staring at you without any discernible purpose. And you're going to notice I'm using mainly these timber pieces, and essentially pieces that very much reflect that quality of mossy wood or mossy rock. So, for example, if you've seen the water wheels earlier, they have this light covering of moss, which I think looks really excellent. Like I said, really adds to that feel of this creature has been around for a long time, longer than any living creature should be around for. So I really like that idea. It's very evocative, I think, and just looks flat out, just looks cool, so I'm really happy with that. And you're going to see me use a lot of these dry stone wall pieces, as well as the South American ruin pieces that we have in the game. A lot of East Asian pieces as well, because like I said, this thing is meant to be kind of melded with human architecture, so having bridge pieces and what look like very obvious like human walkways on top of a creature like this just kind of adds to that feeling of like, this isn't just an animal, this is more than that. This is something that's, really, really significant, and I really like that feeling, and I think it quite successfully evoked that. One thing you'll see me add in a second is, so if you play Shadow of the Colossus, the way you defeat the Colossi is that each Colossus has a specific weak point, and it's like a glowing spot on the Colossus. And there's like a few different ones, like you could have a weak spot on its head, on its shoulder, etc. So what I did for this is I put down some lights and I just kind of wobbled them into a specific pattern. I think it turned out nice. Not sure when you're actually going to see it, you'll see it at some point. This is a pretty long video, and you're going to see me just go through the whole process of building it in a lot of different levels of detail. I kind of hop around a little bit, so I do apologize if it gets a little bit jumpy at some points. But yeah, you can see me add more like ruined pieces as well, just to make this look like, even though there are architectural pieces embedded in this creature, like when it moves, you imagine that all of these rocks shift and kind of break apart and fall. And yeah, there you go. That's me putting down the light. I know it's a snowflake, and it looks like a snowflake, but once I add on all these ruined pieces and you look at it at night, it just looks like it's a kind of a glowing part of its skin, which I think looks really good. So let's talk a little bit about just why am I doing this? Like I said before, it's very much a thing where I just kind of wanted to flex those creature design muscles, and at the same time I wanted to really kind of explore the limits of this game when it comes to creativity. And I can confidently say there are very few limits to your creativity in this game, if at all. It lets you basically do whatever you want. If you can envision it, and if you're willing to, go through the trial and effort of creating it, you can probably do it. Like, it is honestly just so versatile and very forgiving, I think. So I really enjoyed it. And of course I wanted to, like I said, I was in a very much of a giant monster mood, and I wanted to pay homage to Shadow of the Colossus because if there's a way I could describe it, it's the best game that I've never played. I've never had the console for it, of course. I've always been a PC gamer, and it was on the PlayStation. And the thing is, I want to play it someday. I've watched so many playthroughs of it on YouTube. It's a deceptively simple game, essentially. All you do is you go around and you defeat these colossi. Relatively simple game mechanics, but I think what really makes it stand out is the story direction. It has a beautiful story. The art direction, the art is absolutely gorgeous. The creature designs are so iconic. The colossi themselves, amazing. And just like the atmosphere of the game, it makes you feel so immersed. And that's coming from someone who's not actually even played it. I've just watched other people play it. And I think it was really spectacular. So like I said, I'm a big fan, especially when it comes to the creature design. These colossi are such iconic creature designs, and I just think they look so superb, and I really wanted to harken back to that with this. And like I said, I was also watching Evangelion, which has lots of giant monsters and is also a huge trip. Like I've been just watching YouTube videos like delving into what Evangelion means and like, you know, what was the point of the series, etc. And it's just like, holy cow. Like it feels like you need a philosophy degree to understand it, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I just, you know, I thought at first, like, hey, it's just gonna be, you know, cool, like a giant robot anime. You're gonna watch some giant robots, you know, like take on some monsters, and then it went completely in the opposite direction and became this huge existentialist, like, philosophical piece, and I was just like, I'm way out of my depth here. But yeah, I was, like I said, that's the whole explanation for me building this. I was just in a giant monster mood, essentially. Anyways, as you can see on screen, I put the head section on top of where that initial mouth was. You're going to notice me using a lot of these horn pieces which came with the base game. They are kind of in the African theming, I believe, and I never really used them, but I always loved how they looked, so I found a perfect place for them here. They kind of form the tusks and horns that are all over this creature, even the teeth within the big circular maw that kind of processes food as it comes in. I don't even know if this thing would eat, to be honest. And here you see me work on creating some like pseudo jaws that will extend underneath the head region. You're also going to see me duplicate pieces a lot because sometimes I just want to put for example, I put the head on top of the actual body and near the mouth just to kind of visualize it, but then I'll duplicate it and work on it away from the body so I have the space, and then I'll put it back on there when I'm happy with it. So that's what I'm doing here. And you may notice there is actually a body there, and what I did to create that body was first, you would have seen right at the start of the video, I first started with like essentially a string of bamboo pieces I kind of curled into the formation I wanted, and then what I did was I used the terrain stamp tool to create a cylindrical block of soil, just kind of leading its way where I want the body to be, and that kind of acts as my scaffolding. So when I build the rest of this creature, I can just follow that pattern, and I won't go in weird directions essentially. And I'll also kind of hide any, like for example, if the gaps in the exterior like exoskeleton, it won't be super obvious because there's stuff underneath it. Anyway, here you see me again continuously working on the pseudo jaws. I want them to look kind of like a horse skull. If you've seen a horse's skull, they're kind of terrifying. Horses are super cute and lovely and majestic in real life when they're alive, but when you see a horse's skeleton, you're just like, holy crap, that, you know, lovely majestic animal was hiding this absolute nightmare under its skin, you know? Their horses' skeletons are spooky, like big spooky. But yeah, you see me adding in like pseudo teeth here using the stone blocks. Like I said, again, very much emulating the idea of like a horse jaw. I think it looks very cool, very evocative of that. I think it looks really good. But yeah, you're gonna see me do a lot more of this sort of stuff because I need to duplicate it, of course. And this is all stuff that's still kind of towards the head region. I haven't actually started working on the body itself, and there will be quite a lot to go for with the body because, like, you know, looking at it, that is a long, that's a long boy. It's not a small dude. This is kaiju size. This is not the size of like a regular animal. I wanted this to be a full-scale creature. And one thing I do to help with scale later on is that you're going to see me put down a zookeeper, which is, a staff member in this game you can do. So I put down a little zookeeper and you can see the actual size difference, and it is tremendous. I haven't done the actual measurement yet for how big this creature ends up being. If I were to guess, maybe anywhere between 300 and 500 meters long. I don't know actually, to be honest. I'll have to go into the game and measure it later on. But if you guys want to do it yourselves, here's another bit of good news. This whole creature and the map that it is on is completely available on the workshop. So if you want to explore it for yourself, you want to deconstruct this creature, kind of just have a look at how I built it, feel free to go to the description, click on the link and download this map. It will come fully stocked with the creature and the scene I based it in, and you can just pull it apart, look at it up close, measure it if you want to know how long it actually is, and yeah, go for it. Anyways, here I'm starting to build more of the body. I wanted a few main segments, kind of like because I'm going to give this thing legs, kind of like an invertebrate looking legs, so I wanted a few segments where the legs could connect, and then in between I'll have more centipede-like segments, so more, like snake-like, easier to curve, but these bigger segments are going to be more rigid, more straight, and that's where the legs are going to adhere to. Anyways, here's me continuing work on the head. Like I said before, a lot of rock, a lot of wood. You'd notice I'm using the dynamic mossy rock to give it that effect that it's been in the ground for a long time. Here I'm adding some special effects just to give it some smoking nostrils. I'll add smoke kind of emanating from a lot of different parts of its body, so do look out for that. It will be quite interesting to see when it is fully finished and all the special effects are on. You'll see that in the cinematics at the end. It looks really, really excellent, I think. But yeah, continuing on, you are going to see me use a lot of similar pieces, but I tried not to have it be too monotonous by adding in lots of element breaks. So, for example, between long stretches of wood, I'll try to add more rocks, or I'd add in a different type of material, or as you'll see in a bit, I'll start adding in legs, and the legs I think really do a lot to help break up the monotony of having this really long, centipede-like creature. So I think it'll look pretty cool. I'm really happy with it at the end. I do think it was a very unusual build, but I'm very happy with it. Here now, actually, you're going to see me start to build what will become essentially the body of the whole creature. These are going to be the main segments that envelop the creature as a whole. All of the curved areas, the tail, that's all going to be done here with these types of segments with the rocks. So I wanted to look more organic, that's why I used the rocks. Even though rocks are not organic, I just think they look a bit more flesh-like, a bit more like hardened skin as opposed to the straight edges of the wood. So you're going to see me place down a few, and then I'm going to start curving them all the way down. And I'll do this first segment first, but you'll see me later take a break and I'll come back, and these segments will essentially make up the whole of this creature's body, and it'll go right all the way down, and I think it looks so good when it's finished. Having to curl these segments individually was a bit of a pain, but I think when it's finished, when all the segments are in place and it looks like a proper creature that's kind of snaking its way up here, it's really nice. It's such a cool effect, and I was really, really happy with it. But yeah, this performs surprisingly well on a map. I think it's because there's nothing else on this map. Still, it really performs quite well. You can turn on the game, play it, there shouldn't be any lag, shouldn't be anything like that, because the game doesn't actually have to process anything. The only thing that I can imagine is a bit resource intensive is the animated pieces. And there are a lot of pieces in this build, but because they're the only pieces on the map, I think it's fine, and you're not going to see any considerable issue, I think. But yeah, okay, here you can see me add foliage. So I wanted to add in lots of plant life on this creature, in all the different cracks between the gaps and stuff like that. So you can imagine this thing's been curled up for so long in some tunnel somewhere underneath some civilization. And of course there's going to be lots of plant life growing on it. And I really like that. It brings it so much more to life, I think, having little bits of plant life. I mainly use these blackthorn bushes because I think they gave me that scraggly kind of look that I was going for. I think it just really, really helps. And yeah, I was really, really happy with it overall. Like I said, this video is going to go on for another 16 minutes or so, so I'm going to keep talking about it. But let's talk a little bit about the map of choice here. So this is the South American map that came with the South American DLC a few months ago. I never really got to use it for an actual playthrough, but I thought I wanted some atmosphere to put this creature in. I didn't want to, just plop it in on a normal looking map and kind of forget about it, like doing the detail work, but I wanted to have a scene. I didn't want to just create this creature without there being some sort of scene behind it. And this mountainous area, I think really reflects what you would have seen in Shadow of the Colossus. A lot of the creature work and a lot of the environment work there really looks quite impressive, very mountainous. Even the valleys, the deserts, the forest, all of it is very atmospheric. And I think there wasn't any other map in the game that really suited it as much as this one. So I was really, really happy with this. And now you're going to see me work on the legs. So this creature is kind of a mishmash of a bunch of different animal types. So of course it is very snake-like, very centipede-like. It's got that horse head, that worm-like mouth opening. But the legs, I wanted them to be more insect-like. So it's going to have 8 of them. 4 on each segment. Like there's 2 big main segments and there's going to be 4 on each. And each of these legs is going to be, like I said, very insect-like, all hitting towards a point. There's not going to be like feet, it's just going to finish off in a point like that. And they're not going to be thick, they're going to look quite like gangly legs. Like they look strong enough to hold up a decent portion of its body, but it doesn't look strong enough to hold up all of its body at once. So I imagine for this thing, it would mostly slither around, but if it needed to like go over slightly bits or like up a mountain, it would use its leg to assist, but the legs are not the primary mode of locomotion here. But I think they come out looking quite good. They look a bit more mechanical than the rest of the body, so I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but I think they eventually do turn out looking pretty great. Like I said, I do want to use a lot of these stone pieces, and I think they help give it this look of being more supported as well. So I'm very, very happy with it. And yeah. Anyways, now I kind of just want to take a little bit of time and just talk to you guys, and want to say thank you so much for the 500 subscribers. It still kind of blows my mind that 500 of you find my content interesting enough to like subscribe, so thank you so much for that. It really does mean so much to me. And if you like this content and stuff like that, do feel free to hit up our Discord server. I just set that up last week, I believe, or the week before. It's just a lot of like-minded people who like Planet Zoo, Jurassic World Evolution, who like animals, and we just kind of hang out and chat about stuff. It's very, it's just fun and wholesome, and it really isn't like very intense at all. It's just like a little chill, kind of laid back spot where you can just talk to people. It's nice, basically. And yeah, I just want to say thanks again, guys. It's huge thanks to all of you. It really, really does mean a lot that you guys watch this stuff. And yeah, here's to 500 more, I guess. So we'll look forward to seeing more builds for me. I'm gonna keep working on this sort of stuff as usual. I will upload another Sannikov Land video tomorrow. Sannikov Land, of course, for anyone who's new here, is my current Planet Zoo sandbox series, which I'm working on more. Like that's kind of my like passion project. And of course, I'm also doing a Planet Zoo challenge mode series, which I release on Mondays. And I want to say thanks as well, because that video, my first challenge mode video, the Micro Zoo, has had such amazing feedback, and I just want to say a huge thanks to all of you guys, because like the amount of views on that has climbed faster than any of my other videos. I'm just like still kind of blown away, because I didn't think that video was going to get a lot of traction, because like it doesn't have any big fancy builds or anything that took a lot of time. It's more just me getting into the mechanics of the game and starting off a bit more of a difficult challenge, and I think of course there is a bit more fun to it, so I'm guessing that's why. But yeah, huge thanks, guys. And on the screen now you can see I've attached the legs. I've attached 4 to the front. I haven't actually set up the front section's big segment yet. I've set up some in the back. You can see me, yep, there's 4 legs all together in the back and 4 legs all together in the front. So I wanted to position them in an interesting kind of way. So one of the upper pairs of legs is actually stood on top of its own body. The other 3 are kind of like in between the rockwork, trying to get a hold. And of course the other 4 at the bottom are just kind of like hoisting it in place so it doesn't slide off the cliff. And I think that looks really good. Now you're going to see me give the front of the creature a bit of an accent piece. I wanted to give it kind of like almost like a hood of a cobra. So if you guys know cobras, you know they have these big like hoods they can flare up. This is almost kind of like that, but more rigid. So it's like a solid piece on the back with a spine, and that's where the legs are going to attach. And I wanted to it would just essentially give the front of this creature a lot more substance and make it look less fragile as a whole. So you can see me now just kind of shaping it into place. And once it is all shaped, I can just attach it onto the front. It is all a little bit pushed together in weird ways. If you go really in depth and look at this creature like up close, you're going to see a lot of gaps here and there, a lot of like empty spaces. But I think from a distance, and you're only ever really going to view this creature from a distance because it's so big, I think it looks pretty good. And here you see me just adding in lots more of the mossy rocks, again just to make sure it looks like there's plant life growing all over this. You can see me add some rocks here to fill in some gaps underneath. Like I said before, I want this creature to be very much ingrained with nature. Like it's not just nature too, but like man-made structures, just very, very integrated essentially. And I think it works. I think it really sells that idea. So very, very happy with that. You probably hear me say that like many times now. So do apologize, but yeah, I do hope you guys are enjoying this build. It was just something different, and I really liked building it, so I do hope you enjoy it. I know it's super different from the usual stuff on my channel, and I completely understand if you want to see more like normal content instead of this stuff, but I'm also happy to do more of this stuff if you guys enjoy that, so it's really up to you guys. Of course, depending on what you say, I'll if you want more of this, I might make another couple, or if you want more normal stuff, then I'll avoid doing this stuff. But it's just up to you guys really, what you prefer. Like, while I'm just playing the game for fun, I'll of course just build whatever I want, but for the channel, I'm more than happy to listen to what you guys are interested in and what you guys want. Now, there's not going to be much else I'm doing here for the creature itself. For the creature itself, I'm mostly done. There's only a couple more things that I'm going to be doing. That includes the creation of the rest of the body, but I've already got the pieces in place for that, and the tail. Right now what you see me doing is I wanted a couple of antlers to kind of frame the creature's heads a bit, and I took inspiration for this from a lot of beetles. So a lot of beetles in real life have a lot of really weird features. So and I think there's some types of beetles with these eye stalks that stick out the sides of their heads, and I took inspiration from that somewhat to make this structure that kind of looks like a pair of eye stalks, even though it's not actual eye stalk. And now I was trying to find a position for it on this creature where it didn't look like it didn't look out of place, basically. Eventually I realized it always did look out of place, so the one thing that I found to help it was actually to double it up and have a second pair, and I think that really made it look a little bit more, in place, basically. Anyways, here you're going to see me complete the body of this creature. There's really not much to it now. Completing the body just is a lot of repositioning of this piece, but I left it in because it is so satisfying seeing it come together. And by the end, when it's fully done, oh my god, I just have to say, it looks really, really cool. It just looks like a big creature that's frozen in place. And it looks almost like, when you're just viewing this when the game is played, it looks kind of like those animated wallpapers that you can get sometimes. Where it's a city scene or a landscape, where everything's still, but there's a few elements which are animated, like the water or something. It kind of reminds me of those, because when you look at this, it's obviously still, the creature's not going to move. But because it has all these moving parts, like the water wheels, and they're all over the body and they're animated and moving, it does give you that feeling that you're looking at a living scene. And I'm gonna add a lot of terrain work towards the end as well. I wanted to make, like I said, I wanted to give it a scene, but I didn't put in too much effort into that just because obviously all the effort went into the creature. And I think the scene is more just like a framing device, and I think it looks fine. I just add in a few little waterfalls, some ruins to the side, a lot of trees and foliage to incorporate this area more with the rainforest around it. and I think it turns out looking really good. So like I said, you're more than welcome to download it in the description. Go explore the map, but I do warn you, when I add in the foliage later, I do the kind of the cheap method of basically just putting down a bunch of trees and then copying and pasting them all over the place. So you will notice that there will be some floating trees here and there. They're not noticeable in the cinematics or like from a distance, but if you look closely you will. Anyways, on screen now, you're going to see me start putting down some ruins. And so these are just, like I said, to frame it. But on that central ruin right in front of the creature itself, I put down a tiny piece of path on top, and I put down a zookeeper, just so you can see the actual scale of this creature. Because it is big and you don't really notice that until you really look up close. But yeah, like I said, with the ruins and stuff, I didn't put in very much effort at all. These are all like the pre-built ruins that come with the game, with the DLC, I should say, the South American one. All I did was kind of remove a few pieces, like any additional accents that I didn't want, like and add in a few more like actual ruin pieces, like crumbling rocks and stuff like that. But for the most part, it is just very much the pre-built stuff from the game essentially, and I'll just add some foliage, some terrain work, just to give the scene a bit more interest, so it looks like you're exploring these ruins and this creature randomly snaked out of a giant tunnel. And of course there you see me do some water work. I just did some of that off screen, but you'll see me add in the waterfall soon. That tunnel towards the end of the map, to those who haven't played this map before, that is actually the zoo entrance. But of course I deleted the entrance, so that looks now more like this creature's lair, and it kind of slithered out of there. So you would have seen me add in like a little sand trail where this creature's body would have kind of slithered through the grass and flattened all of it. And now you just see me do a bunch of rock work. This is all just scenery work essentially now. And the waterfalls, though, I do think look pretty good. One thing I want to do is try out more of the in the recent DLC we got some murky, like really dark water effects. So like there you go, the waterfall effect. We now have a murky waterfall. I think that looks pretty good, and really suits this water here. I actually end up removing the water and replacing it with slightly dirtier water, just to kind of again give that murky water effect. It looks quite good. And of course this water doesn't make any sense. There's no source and the water's not flowing anywhere. But like for the cinematics, for the shots of this creature, it looks pretty good. I think it just kind of sells that feel of being in a hidden lost civilization or deep in the rainforest, and you just stumble upon this thing. You may be drinking from the waterfall and you just chill in there, and suddenly you hear this like really loud rumbling from a distance, and then this thing just slithers up out of the cave and like confronts you, and you're just like, oh boy, I am in big trouble. Oh yeah, I completely forgot, we're actually building the creature's tail now. This is something I put off to the end because I didn't really know what to do for the tail. Eventually I decided to go for the pure like architectural route, because I remember that in Shadow of the Colossus, there's a lot of the Colossi actually have like purely architectural elements, like there's no organics to it at all. It looks like they're built out of like towers and like wood pieces and stuff, especially the last Colossus, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, please do, and just tell me how it is, because I still haven't had the chance to play it, even though I am like such a big fan. That is one day, that is like my absolute goal, is just get like the remastered version and play it like just for the fun of it, because I never had the chance. But yeah, here's the tail. I made it look like the backside of a beetle with a little stinger at the end, but nothing too fancy here. Just very normal stuff. I tried a few different things to make the tail end look a bit more interesting, but eventually I went for a more simple route, and I just used some of these like stone pieces and a little bit of gold to accent it. And of course the last thing to do was to just add more of these water wheels. No, I think I removed that actually, I'm not sure. But all you have to do now is just kind of add it to the end. So I add a couple more of these pieces just to tilt it upwards, and then I add in the tail. And I think it looks pretty good. I thought at first about making a longer tail, a more wiggly tail, but I really like the look of this architectural tail. I think it looks pretty good. And now you're going to see me add a bit more, texture to wherever the feet land, make it look like it's been tossing up some rocks as it landed, because this is obviously a very heavy creature. And more rock was to just hide any more like imperfections in the terrain. But now we are coming very close to the end of the video now, guys, so I just want to say, again, huge thanks for 500 subscribers. It really, really does mean a lot to me. We've got a good bit of cinematics coming at the end, so I do hope you enjoy that. Again, more than welcome to download this creature in the description down below. Like the video if you did like this video, share it with people if you want, and of course subscribe for more similar content. Also, quick update, a couple videos ago I shared a petition to to urge the UK government to save UK zoos. And I just want to say to you guys kind of the petitions worked. The government's reopening zoos, zoos are getting the financial backing. It is, it's such a good thing that, we are a little bit of a part of now. So, I just want to say a little bit of an update there as well. So thanks to you guys. I know some of you did sign the petition. So, yeah, very cool. Anyways, here's me just adding in the waterfall, and we're now coming up right to the end of the video. So, once again, thank you so much for 500 subs, guys. Here's to 500 more. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.